Joining us now to discuss his campaign for the presidency is 2024 GOP hopeful Ryan Binkley. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Well, it's great to be here, Wyatt. Thank you for having me.
So perhaps I just want to start out with, we obviously have a large field of candidates seeking the nomination with the first debate on Tuesday, but a lot of the candidates who will be at that debate and who have been running for the presidency thus far are people who come with a lot of political experience. You yourself have not had as much political experience or experience on the political side as some of these other candidates have had. What do you think it is about your experience that can potentially prepare you for an office like the presidency?
Well, first of all, I really don't think we should hold it against all these politicians with their experience they have, because they're the ones that's gotten all this trouble we have with all the debt in our country. No, all joking aside, this is a great time to talk about some of the bigger issues we faced and what our experience brings to the table. I mean, obviously, we've got some great governors, great leaders, Senator Tim Scott, a lot of people, a lot of experience. My experience really is simply in business and ministry. And so I've spent my entire life, building businesses and launching companies and, making bills, paying bills, creating jobs, and also connecting to the heart of people. And, as I look at this, why we've had a couple major issues in our country and our finances, and also just the division that's in our country are two of the biggest things that's impacting our growth for the future. So I really feel like my experience can truly help be a catalyst for our country in a unique way that other candidates may not have the skills to do so.
And when you look at some of the substantial issues that are impacting the GOP field right now, there are some people who it seems are talking more about the candidates themselves rather than the actual issues. When I say that, I'm thinking people like Chris Christie, for example, the former governor of New Jersey, who has been criticizing former President Trump in this race. But then you have someone kind of the opposite of that, like Vivek Ramaswamy, who I've interviewed before, and really who is saying he is defending Donald Trump in a number of ways. I'm curious, do you think that Donald Trump, as it stands right now, is allowed or is suitable for today's Republican Party? Because, as I said, people like Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson have really been arguing against that.
Right now, he's in a slurry of lawsuits, right, that are coming against him. As I look at this, many of these are political in nature by the way they've come down, particularly when you see the Department of Justice has done the things that it's done with the Durham report. You can see the bias that they had there and admitted to doing so. And then 1 month later, all these indictments come. So hard to see exactly what that means. I would say this: there's many things that he had the right to do as president. He has the right to his freedom of speech. He has the right to make phone calls, but it doesn't mean he did it the right way. And so I think his judgment is what's in question today. Some of the leadership styles in which he has handled some of these things, and that's up to the American voters. And of course, we'll let the courts decide and see how this thing plays out. At the end of the day, right now, the bigger things that I think as America looks at, his leadership is, how does he potentially truly grow our party? You may know this, Wyatt, but we really have not grown the party in decades. In fact, I think President Trump had 46% of the general population vote in 2016, 46.8% or 9% in 2020. And so we really haven't had a transcendent leader go beyond 50% since Ronald Reagan. And we've been losing in big cities. I think we lost 46 of the top 50 cities by population. So the real issue is how do we as a party move on and connect to voters that we haven't had before? That's what I'm doing in my campaign. I'm really focusing on how does our party look to where the future is, which is the younger generation and really in urban America. How do we create, I would call it, Republican alternatives to socialism for urban America and create some new opportunities to grow a party?
Yeah, so I guess just kind of following up on that, I mean, when I say the word suitable, I mean, I'm kind of thinking about people like Asa Hutchinson, as I mentioned, who have argued that some of these indictments should result in Donald Trump being disqualified from the Republican primary, given that he's not expected, as of right now, at least, to appear at these debates. Right now, it seems as if the GOP in many ways has already kind of decided who they want their nominee to be, at least according to some of these polls that we are seeing. To what extent should these indictments, are you preparing for these indictments to hurt him politically?
Well, I think that they eventually will to some degree because they're going to keep him busy. But, at the end of the day, he's got the right to defend himself, and we'll see how they play out in court. I don't think an indictment itself means that he cannot be a candidate in our country any longer. So I think we'll just see how it plays out in the end. And if he's found guilty, then that's a different matter.
And just lastly here, before we conclude, I mean, what is your overall message, your overall kind of argument to someone who is looking potentially at someone like yourself? I mean, I'm talking with someone named Steve Laffey, who's a former mayor who's running for president as well. These people who are running for president, they're perhaps not getting as much attention, as much exposure as some of these candidates who have been in the political sphere for, in some cases, several decades. What is your message to someone who is considering someone like yourself, or again, one of these candidates who does not have as much exposure, but really isn't 100% sold as of yet?
Well, I think a lot of people like some of the things that Trump did, and for everybody that liked him, you know, at the matter of fact, I liked many things he did. I like the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that he did in 2017. I like the fact that he picked Supreme Court justices that are actually constitutionalists. That seems to be a really good thing for our country, to keep that pure as much as we can, and people that can hold those values. At the end of the day, though, he's limited in certain factors. His ability to connect to people that are struggling in different areas of society that really don't connect to him in a large way. And that's largely urban America. Some of the college students, I think 70% of college students voted for Joe Biden in the last election. And so we have 70 million Gen Zers and millennials that are really not choosing the Republican Party. And my message to all of our party is let's win. Let's get beyond where we've been. I can appreciate many things, as many voters can, what President Trump did in the past, but appreciation is good. But now where are we going to go from here? He lost 3 of the 4 national elections as leader of our party. We underperformed in 2 midterms. We lost the last election. You know, President Reagan in 1984, in his second term, transcended the party. He got 59% of the vote. President Trump was not able to do that. He was not able to coalesce a movement. The red wave, so to speak, kind of trickled down. The red wave has stopped. And so here we are with a lot of water looking around. Is there another wave? I think that wave has passed. It's time for us to look ahead. And that's my message.